Hello everybody, we continue our discussion on the divide and conquer method of algorithm design. Just to repeat, we have discussed our method of algorithm design where we have the 6-step method of initial solution through a recursive definition, inductive proof of correctness, analysis of the recurrence relations for time complexity, then opening up the recursion tree, examining the structures formed and looking at the composition, decomposition and the recomposition properties. Then we saw that the algorithm choice was depending on whether the split or the decomposition is to be balanced, whether we can greedily choose certain paths, whether there are identical subproblems, and all of them lead to the strategies that we know of memoization, divide and conquer, greedy, dynamic programming, and pruning through branch and bound. Then in addition to that, we would be forming data structures where we remember our past computation, where we use additional space to try and reduce the complexity of time further. Finally, the final algorithm is decided by the traversal of the recursion tree, which may be a top-down traversal, a depth first, breadth first, or other traversals, or an iterative version which could be done either top-down or bottom-up. We have not discussed how to implement it using limited memory or time, but we are analyzing the final algorithm for the same. And in our method, the overview, we discussed all the core methods that are there, and we will be now going through them one by one. We are now discussing the divide and conquer method, and in the divide and conquer method, we are concentrating on the sorting and searching problems. We have discussed many of the searching problems and some of the sorting problems earlier, and we continue with these now in this current lecture. So the sorting by the divide and conquer method, the general sort routine of a list L, the generic sort routine based on our method is if the size of L is 1 or 0, then we return L. Otherwise, we have our decomposition step. Then we have our recursion step. Then we have our recomposition step. And then we return. After this, we return. So the decomposition step typically provides various choice points. And in these choice points, our generic strategy of sorting has been to split L into non-empty L1, L2, and during this split, we may also appropriately choose an element. Then the step that we take is we have M1, which is the result of sort of L1. We have M2, which is the result of sort of L2. And the recomposition step is a mechanism to combine M1 and M2 to get M, and we return M, where M is the final sorted list. Now, till now, what we have done is that we have seen 2 or 3 methods, and among those methods, in method 1, which we called the max based removal. So we have seen a method 1 where our decomposition step consisted of remove max. So L1 was the max of L, and L2 was L1 minus max of L. And because of that, the recursion step M1 was obvious, and therefore there was only one recursion step where we had to sort L2 by recursion, because L1 was there, and our recomposition step was a simple concatenation. That means whatever we got out of M2, we concatenated it with whatever was the max of L1, and therefore this decomposition step, and this was the recomposition step. We had our method 2, in our method 2, our decomposition step was remove an element. So we removed an element. So L1 was some xi. L1 was some xi, and L2 was L minus L1. But our recomposition step was an appropriate insert xi in M2. This was insert xi in M2. Now in both these algorithms, because we had a trivial one element removal, our time complexity turned out to be Tn is equal to Tn minus 1 plus order n. Because it turned out to be Tn minus 1 plus order n, therefore the overall, because in the method 1, which was the max based sorting algorithm, there the remove max was taking order n time, the decomposition was taking order n time, where the recomposition was order 1. So this was order n and this was order 1. Whereas in method 2, because this was removing an arbitrary element, this was order 1 and this was order n. In any case, both of these gave this, which would give an order of n squared algorithm. But then we saw that we can use data structures and in method 1 we could use a heap data structure, and in method 2 we could use a balanced binary search tree data structure, and by applying these two data structures we could convert this to an n log n algorithm. So this was the whole process that we followed. By following our complete process, we were able to derive n log n versions for these two methods. Now we will see, instead of splitting it into 1 n minus 1, whether we can do a split which is more proportional. The constant split k n minus k, we all know will give order n squared, because the recomposition or the decomposition is order n. Now we come to a method where we will split this proportionally. And when we split it proportionally, then we will apply two such approaches to our algorithm, and these two approaches will form two of the very well-known algorithms that we know. So in one case, again, the decomposition will be straightforward and the recomposition will be complicated, which is like method 2, and the second one will be like method 1, and we will have approaches to do that. So now we come to this approach, which is the famous merge sort algorithm, and this merge sort algorithm uses the same principles that we have here, but by doing this, the decomposition is a simple split, whereas the recomposition is a more detailed combination. So it generalizes the insertion sort by doing a split. So the merge sort algorithm, which is a very well-known algorithm, known probably by all of you till now, the merge sort algorithm, again, if L is less than equal to 1, return L. Otherwise, the decomposition step is split L into L1, L2, which are non-empty, and then again M1 is equal to merge sort L1, M2 is equal to merge sort L2, and finally we need to get M back. So there we have to now got two sorted lists, therefore we have to merge these sorted lists. So we apply the algorithm merge L1 L2, which is going to merge these two sorted lists, and once we get this, we return M. And by the master theorem we know that if L1 and L2 are proportionally split, that means if we are able to break it up into Tn is equal to T some n by k and plus T n minus n by k, and we can do this merge operation in order n time, we will get an order n log n algorithm which does not require data structures, which will simply work on these arrays, and if we choose k equal to 2, then it gives optimal performance. So now all we need to do is to do this merge algorithm in order n time, and we have discussed this in our tutorials. And in order to do the merge algorithm in order n time, all we need to do is we write merge L1 L2 if L1 equal to null, return L2. If L2 equal to null, return L1, and if both of them are not null, then let L1 equal to x1, x2 up to xn, and let L2 be y1, y2 up to ym, and we know that both of them are sorted. Let us assume that they are sorted in ascending or non-decreasing order, then what we have to now do is again we apply recursion, and we say that if x1 is greater than equal to y1, all we need to do is return L is equal to x1 concatenated with, so this dot operator is our concatenation operator, let us say, or we can use this operator to denote concatenation operator, and merge. All we need to now do is L1 minus x1 L2. That means if x1 is greater than x2, then x1 goes into the front and we remove x1 from L1 and then merge these two. Else L is equal to y1 concatenated with merge L1 L2 minus y1. And we return L. And it is not difficult to see that the algorithm takes complexity because it takes only one step. It is a recursive algorithm in which the problem size reduces by 1. So here Tn is equal to Tn minus 1 plus 1. I am not writing the base conditions. I think you all can write the base conditions, which is equal to an order n algorithm. So here we have our order n algorithm for doing this merge, and therefore if we divide it at half-half or any fractional point, whereas the half-half is the optimal, we get a straightforward order n log algorithm, which is a famous merge sort algorithm. Now if we have done the algorithm for merge, so let us do the analysis again. So the analysis, as we have seen, is Tn is equal to 2Tn by 2, because that is where plus order n, which is equal to order of n log n, which is our algorithm. And the order n comes from the merge part, which we have already seen. The other thing that we see is that if we open up the recursion, suppose we have got these 5 elements or 6 elements, let us say 7, 3, 8, 1, 5. Let us say we have this. Then by the mechanism, we will split it up into 7, 3, 8, 1, 5. Then here 7, 3, 8, here 7 and 3 separately, 8, here 1, and here 5. Sorry, here 5. Now if we look at it this way, we get an idea that while there is a top-down mechanism to solve this problem, we could also apply a bottom-up algorithm. And we don't need any other data structures except this global array, because when we split it, we could only pass the necessary pointers to these two arrays. And how would the bottom-up algorithm work? The bottom-up algorithm, if we look at the problem, then we see we have got 7, we have got 3, we have got 8, we have got 1, we have got 5. And the bottom-up algorithm, once you understand the way in which pairwise combination at every level is done, then you can see that these two will combine to form 7, 3. Let us say these two can combine to form 8, 1. This is 5. Then these two, in the next step, these two will combine to form 8, 5, 1, and in the next step these two will combine to form 8, 7, 5, 3, 1. This is how the bottom up evaluation can be done. So this is the bottom-up iterative evaluation, where we go level by level. We apply two loops. One loop where we do it for every level, and one loop we go from bottom to top. So by applying this sort of loop, we will be able to write out an iterative algorithm, whereas the top-down algorithm, what it would do is, after doing this, it would return 3 here, it would return 3 here, it would return 7 here, this would return 7, 3, this would return 8, this would combine and return 8, 7, 3, this would return 1, this would return 5, so these would return these values, this will return here, this will return 5, 1, and finally by the merging of this we will finally get 8, 7, 5, 3, 1. It is just that in the right hand side the iterative algorithm has done it initially pairwise. So first it is always pairwise, so it is done it pairwise. You could do it in any other order. Maybe we could do, let us say, we could do it in some other order. We could do these two, then we could do these two, then we could do these two, then we could combine this result with 5. So we could do it in various orders, whichever way the iterative algorithm is helpful. So now we have a top-down recursive algorithm. There is nothing to memorize, there are no identical subproblems, and we can get a bottom-up evaluation finally. So in order to finalize this algorithm, all we need to do for merge sort finalization is we use a global array to store the elements. We pass array indices during recursion. And for merge, we use pointers or indices on, so let us call this array A. We pass array A indices during recursion, and we use pointers on the array A. So this gives us a top-down algorithm. Now let us come to the bottom-up algorithm. the bottom-up iterative algorithm, if you look at it very carefully, you will notice that at every level, so suppose this is, let us mark it by level, so let us say this is level 0, so let us mark it by various levels. So this is level 0, this is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3. At every level, initially here n by 2 comparisons will be made, and at n by 2 such merges will happen. So it will just be a series of merge methods where the elements will be merged 2 at a time in level 0, then 1 at a time, so 2 elements 1 at a time in level 0, then half the number of pairs, that means 2 such elements, but each having 2 such components here will be merged, and so on and so forth. So you can write an iterative loop which the height of this, the total number of levels, will be order of log n, because the sizes are getting halved at every time, and since the number of levels are order of log n, so this bottom-up iterative algorithm will work with an inner loop of merge calls and an outer loop which will go on for order log n steps. And I leave this for you to do. It's available in any standard book. This algorithm is available. Both these algorithms are available in any standard book. And this one, at every level, in level 0, the number of merges will be n by 2 merges of size 2, size 1 each. Then there will be, in level 1, there will be approximately n by 4 merges of size 2 each, and so on and so forth. So you can see that in every level, the total number of merge complexity at every level, the total merge complexity will be order n, and we are going to go up to log n levels. Therefore, so it will go right up to level of order of log n. So these are the levels. So finally, my complexity at every level will be order n. Therefore, this iterative algorithm will also work in order n log n. So the iterative algorithm now can also become, so this is the merge sort algorithm. Now we have also discussed a variation of this optimal merge sequence problem, and that we have discussed in our tutorial class. So I would just like to quickly look at it because of the innate importance and intricacy of that problem. So what is our merge sequence merge optimization problem? So we have got a merge sequence problem where we have got a list L, but this list L is a list of sublists. That means L is equal to sublists L1, L2 right up to Ln, and each Li has elements which are already sorted. We know how to do it for when there are only two. That algorithm we have already seen. If we have only two, that algorithm we have already seen in merge. But now when we have more than two, then how do we analyze it? And let us see what are the issues involved in this. So let us assume for the time being that here we are using 4, this is an example, and in this example we are using 4 lists, L1, L2, L3, L4, and where L1 is equal to 7, L2 is equal to 6, L3 is equal to 2, and L4 is equal to 12. That means there are 7 elements in list L1, 6 in list L2, 2 in list L3, and 12 in list L4. Now let us see what are the various ways in which we can merge and what do they arise. So we can merge them, say, in 7, 6, 2, and 12. That means one way to merge them is first merge these two, so we'll have 13 elements. We merge these two, we'll have 14 elements, and we merge these two, we will have 27 elements. So the total computation time in this case will be 13 plus 14 plus 27, which will yield a computation of 54 comparisons. So this is 54 comparisons. Let us see some other mechanism. So let us try and do it in some other way. So let us first combine 6 and 2. We have 8 elements. Then let us combine 7 and these 8 elements. We have 15 elements. Then let us combine it with this and this. We have got 27 elements. And these 27 elements, the total computation was 8 plus 15 plus 27, which gave to 50 computations, 50 comparisons. Now let us see a third option. And in our third option, what we do is we first combine 7 and 6, which is 13. Then we combine this and 12, which is 13 plus, so we have got 7 and 6, 13. 13 plus 12 is 25, and then 25 plus 2 is 27. So the total computation here is 13 plus 25 plus 27, which yields us another value. So this yields us a total of 52 plus 62 plus 65 computations. So let us repeat it. Let us see what happens. We have got 7 and 6 will take 13 computations. Then we add that to 12, we get 25 computations. Then we add that to 2, we get this. we can get an even worse one. The worst one, if you want to do, the worst one will be if we combine 7 and 12, we will get 19. That we add with 6, we get 25, and that we add with 2, we get 27. And as you can see that this will be even larger, and this will yield 61 computations. So there is a question of doing it in an optimal manner. So if we use our method of recursive decomposition and try to solve this problem, then we have to look at this more carefully. So the general method recursive method based on our approach, the general recursive method will be for each pair at any point in L, for each pair Li, Lj in L above, in this, we try to do Lij is equal to merge Li, Lj. So once we get, for each pair, we will have to merge Li, Lj, and then after having merged Li, Lj, we make R remaining is equal to, this merge routine is our pairwise merging. The Lr is now original L minus Li and Lj. So we remove Li and Lj from there, and we add Lij there, and then we recursively get the result by applying this. We recursively get the result by applying merge sequence of Lr. That means we have merged Li, Lj, and we want to find out in our recomposition, we want to find out the best solution or option of choosing Li and Lj. Now, how do we choose Li and Lj such that, or do we have to look at all the options and get the result? So here is where comes our problem and our approach to solving the problem. And in order to do that, if we go back and see what was our choice, then we can come back and say that given L equal to L1, L2 up to Ln, choose Li and Lj such that Li and Lj, which are the sizes of I and j, which is Li equal to Li and L mod of Lj equal to Lj, such that these two are the smallest sized sets in L. That means we are making this statement that if we choose the smallest two and merge them, that means if we come to this step And here instead of each pair, we want to make a choice. We want to choose those which are the smallest. And that you notice what we had done in this blue one, we first chose 6 and 2, got a solution of 8, so we now had 3 lists. So let us go back and look at our analysis of 7, 6, 2 and 12. So we had 7 in our example, we had a list of size 7, a list of size 6, a list of size 2 and a list of size 12. So we say that we merge these two and we get a list of size 8. Now we have got these two are removed from the list and this is included. Now among these three, 7 and 8 are the smallest. So we combine and get 15 and these two are removed. Now only 2 are left and these two are done. 27. So if we do it this way, then our first point is prove that this greedy choice always yields the optimal value. And I leave the proof. You can do a proof in many ways, but you can do a proof by induction. The second is analyze the time complexity of this algorithm. So what is the time complexity of this algorithm? And these two are assignments and homework and tutorial work that we have already done. So here is an algorithm where we have got a use of a greedy choice method. Though we started with a divide and conquer method, by looking at various general recursive options to find the best solution, we realize that a greedy choice is optimal subsequent to the proof that all of you convince yourself to do. Before going to that, let us go back and look at this bottom-up evaluation of merge sort. And if you look at the bottom-up evaluation of merge sort, you can see initially all elements of size 2 are done, then all elements of size 4, then all elements of size 8, etc., etc., which is actually following this principle of greedy choice. So this principle of greedy choice of an optimal merge sequence is also another way of looking at bottom-up evaluation in merge sort. And you can easily prove that that will also give an order n log n complexity, and that should give you an idea of how to prove the general case here. Now, there is another way of looking at it in an alternative form. What we do is we go back to our merge routine. And we know that in our merge routine, we had two lists L1 and L2 on the right side as is seen, and we compared these elements. So now let us come back and look at the alternative way of doing merge. Let us say that in our case we have L1 is equal to some x1, x2 up to xl1, L2 is equal to y1, y2 up to xl2, yl2, up to yl2, L3 is equal to z1, z2 up to zl3, and so on and so forth. What we will do is we will generalize that principle. Our principle will be find the largest element at the head of each list. Sorry, it is not the sentence, let me correct. Find the largest element from all the elements at the head of each list. Remove it and put it in the result. Recurse. These three steps is just a generalization of the merge routine that we used here. We found the largest of x1 and x2 here, removed the largest, merged, and got the result by concatenation. Here, instead of two elements, now we have many elements. So from x1, y1, z1, etc., we find the smallest, remove it, put it into the list, find the records on the rest, and concatenate. Now the problem is, this is a good algorithm, but this algorithm would yield a time complexity of Tn is equal to, because I am removing one element, Tn minus 1 plus order of n if we use a simple max. On the other hand, here comes our choice of a data structure, and for our choice of a data structure, if we use a balanced binary search tree to store only these header elements, then we require two operations. Remove max. Once we remove a max, we have to now take the next element from that list and put it into it. So insert. And we can show that this data structure, if we use a balanced binary search tree, and we all know that there will be Ln such lists, this n may be much smaller than the total number of elements. It may be the same as the total number of elements in the worst case. And if we do that, then each operation can be done in order log n time if we use a balanced binary search tree. And since this, then we can convert this one and then get Tn is equal to Tn minus 1 plus order of log of n and this will give us another order n log n algorithm. So by this alternative method where we generalize that other one, we will get another order n log n algorithm for optimal merge sequence. I leave it as an exercise for you all to examine whether which one of them is the better of the two. That means which among this solution, the greedy solution, and the optimal merge solution, which one is better, and among them which one will I choose. Now we come to the data structure. So we have discussed these data structures here, so we don't need to go ahead. We have said that we will use a balanced binary search tree as a data structure. So now we have these finalization for optimal merge sequence. We have two options. One is the greedy algorithm, and the second is our balanced BST based algorithm. Now leave it as an exercise to determine which or whether any of them is better than the other. And for the first one, which is the greedy algorithm, we simply need a set of arrays to solve the problem. And how do we do? What are the data structures to use for the greedy algorithm? So here again, for the greedy algorithm, what are the data structures to be used? And I guess the using of simple lists is enough for the greedy algorithm. But you have to find the smallest of the two. So how will you find the smallest size list of the two among that set? And how will you do that data structure? So the data structure here is also an important aspect. And once you determine this, another homework part 1, A is one homework, B is write down the final versions of both these algorithms. So now we have to write down the final versions of both these algorithms. Next, we come to another algorithm called quicksort. Whereas in merge sort, so let us go back to our first strategy, our methodology of algorithms, where we talked in the left hand side about decomposition, recursion, recomposition. We know that in merge sort, the decomposition was a simple split, which was a generalization of method 2, which we had done earlier. Now let us see, instead of removing the maximum and just breaking it up into 1n minus 1, can we do something else? So that something else, which is a generalization of method 1 now, yields the algorithm quicksort. So we now write down the famous algorithm quicksort. You should have a look at the history of quicksort. Here again, if L is less than equal to 1, return L. Let L equal to x1, x2 up to xn. Now we write y equal to choose an element from L. That means we choose an element from L. Then we create two more lists L1. We create a set of all elements Z such that Z is less than equal to Y. The second set we create is the set of all elements Z such that Z is greater than Y. So we have now bifurcated it based on the value of Y. Then again, so this is our decomposition step. Our decomposition step consists of these three parts. This is our decomposition step. Then again our recursion, quicksort, L1, M2, quicksort, L2, and our recomposition step is now a very simple step. M is equal to M1 concatenated with M2, just a concat, because all the elements of, we have to do M2 concatenated with M1 because this part will be different. It will be M2 because we are doing it in we are doing the largest one first, so M2 concatenated with M1. Because these two lists are sorted and one list has got elements greater than the other list, therefore this is our recomposition function, and then we simply return M. So here we see that our complexity again becomes Tn is equal to Tk plus Tn minus k plus this choosing an element and breaking it up into these two sets will require an order n complexity. So the decomposition complexity is order n, but the recomposition complexity is 1. So this is our algorithm. But if k is not a fraction of n, then the algorithm in the worst case, so if this choice is an arbitrary choice, then in the worst case k can be 1, because you have not decided on what to choose. So since k can be 1 in the worst case, then quicksort in the worst case will lead order of n squared. And you can see that it all depends on this choose algorithm. Now how do we choose L? How do we choose L from L, Y from L to reduce the complexity from order n squared? In order to do that, if we want to, so case 1, if we wish to divide L into almost equal halves, then Y has to be the median of L. The question is, we need to find that in order n time. If we do sorting to find the median, it is the chicken and egg problem. So the question here is how to find median in order n time. And this is a very classical algorithm. This is a classical algorithm of the divide and conquer nature, which I think we will do in a subsequent class. So this classical algorithm to find the median in order n time we will do in a subsequent class. Case 2. If we cannot find that, is there a fast way of doing it? The other is randomly choose y from L. That means if we randomly choose y from L, then what happens? Then if we choose it by a random method, then there is no worst case. So we have to then analyze the average case. And I leave it to you to have a look, and we will probably do it in the tutorials or somewhere else, that in the average case, if we do that, then we will get order n log n complexity. So if we look at quicksort, and I recommend you to look at the book, the finalization of quicksort has got two options. One option is that we want to avoid the worst case. We can find the median in order n time. And if we are to find the median in order n time, we have to use a very sophisticated algorithm, which we shall discuss later on. The other option is to choose y from L randomly. And there we have to use no longer a worst case analysis, but an average case analysis of the recurrence. And based on that, we will be able to show that it can be happening, the expected complexity will be order n log. But quicksort is a very fantastic algorithm because it has got a detailed implementation. We have done this analysis, so we have to do worst case. Worst case can be order n squared, or by using the median finding, we can get order n log n. Median finding in order n time, we can get an order n log n algorithm. The other is the average case, where again we can get an order n log n average case algorithm, for which you have to set up a new recurrence equation. And I leave it to you, we will discuss this in details in the tutorials or somewhere else about how to find the average case analysis of quicksort. I leave it to you as an exercise, or look up the book for this analysis. This analysis will also lead to this analysis will also lead to an average case analysis of binary search if we choose a random point. This sort of an analysis will also lead to average case analysis of a height of a DST which does not apply sophisticated balancing techniques. So this average case analysis is also something that will be quite relevant and important, and this sort of analysis, which comes from the average case analysis of quicksort and generalizes to the average case analysis of many other things, will be important. So finally, we can implement quicksort in various ways depending on how you implement it, but we don't need many sophisticated data structures if you use the randomization method. We have discussed how we minimize the worst case for quicksort by using the median finding algorithm. Finally, we come to a very interesting relationship. If we notice that all algorithms have a time-space relationship, we have analyzed the time complexity. If we look at the four algorithms that we have, we did a max removal sorting. These are the four algorithms. We did an insertion sort. We did merge sort. And we did quicksort. These are the four sorting algorithms that we did. Now we examine the time-space relationship. And here the space, we talk about the additional space requirement beyond what we need to store the input. And if you look at the algorithm, if you look at the algorithms for this purpose, and we look at some of these algorithms, we will see that if we, in the max removal algorithm, we know that the brute force algorithm is order n squared, but it does not require n squared time, but order one additional space. So let us look at the algorithm. In one version it required, but once we use a heap, then we have to check whether the additional space that we need is within that bound or not. Similarly, when we use a binary search tree here to get a log n time algorithm, are we using additional space? In merge sort, we think that we are using only one array. The question is, can you do merge sort by merging two sorted lists without using an additional intermediate array in order n time? So in place merge. So the question of in place merge in order n time is another important question. Finally, quicksort, if we want to get the order n log n complexity in the worst case, what can we do? So this whole time-space relationship of sorting, and in general for various algorithms, is a very important concept, and we shall discuss it further as we go ahead. There are other approaches to sorting. There are other data structures. There are simpler variations of sorting, and one case is when elements are from a known domain. That means the set size is known, the largest, smallest are known. What will the algorithm be? The second is alternative data structures to improve the real-time behavior. And here there are data structures called hash tables, which are alternative data structures which are really important and very useful for doing a constant time find, etc., approximately constant time find, and these are good data structures. The third problem related to sorting is called external sorting, Whereas in the current problem we only talked about in-memory sorting, but there could be, the sorting size could be so large that some of the largest number of elements would be in the hard disk and few in the memory, and therefore the computation time in the memory and the computation time of getting from the hard disk are two different kinds of computation time, and these yield a different class of algorithms. So in summary, we discussed the divide and conquer method, and from the divide and conquer method we found, so we discussed sorting based on divide and conquer method, and we found out that in the best case we can get order n log n algorithms always by following our process. We also saw that all these algorithms lead to various situations, and we evolved new kinds of data structure requirements. We required a heap data structure, sometimes we required a balanced binary search tree data structure. We also saw that we need to find median finding in order n time to compute quicksort. So this is another problem that came up, whereas we also saw the optimal merge sequence problem. Yielding to a greedy algorithm. And we saw that there are several open-ended issues like alternative data structures, and sixth is various special sorting algorithms. So we have done some of them, but this is a very, very interesting problem. There is a whole book on sorting by there is a full book on sorting called Sorting and Searching by Donald D. Knuth, which you can also have a look at. The other references, you look at our standard references of Corman, Rivest and Lyserson's book or any other book. Everybody discusses sorting, but if there is a special book on sorting, it is Knuth's book. With this, we come to the end of this lecture of our divide and conquer method using sorting. Thank you very much.